Welcome back. The Fox News decision desk projecting Donald Trump has defeated Vice President Kamala Harris and will become the 47th president. Trump winning the key battleground states of North Carolina, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Georgia. He also could win the popular vote, something a Republican has not done in 20 years. Here's what President Trump had to say in his victory speech earlier this morning.
This was, I believe, the greatest political movement of all time. It's going to reach a new level of importance because we're going to help our country heal. We're going to fix everything about our country, and we made history for a reason tonight.
Kamala Harris has not spoken yet. Instead, she plans to address voters today. We are told she has yet to concede. Joining me now is Pollster and WPA Intelligence founder Chris Wilson and Democrat consultant and former House Judiciary Committee Chief Counsel Julian Epstein. Gentlemen, great to see you both. Thank you so much for being here. Chris, talk to us about the results, how they compared to the polling. What are your observations?
Well, I think it's a pivotal moment, not just because Donald Trump reclaimed the White House, but also because, as you said, he's going to win the popular vote, something Republicans haven't done in 2 decades. And I think it's a clear signal that there is a new coalition of working class Americans that are made up of all races that are responding to Donald Trump's message of strong leadership, economic growth, and America First policies. There's been a lot of coverage so far of exit polling, but one thing I haven't seen covered yet is parents. Donald Trump won parents 50-47, and there was no gender gap amongst parents. He won moms 49-48, he won dads 52-48. And we can spend a lot of time dissecting where that went through and what states he may have won. But I think that's an important aspect, is you look at the working class coalition and the parents that came together to put Donald Trump back in the White House. And that's really what made the difference for him last night. Yeah, and that is what Mark Penn has been saying as well. We're going to talk with Mark Penn coming up in the show to get more on that. I think you're spot on there. Fox News senior White House correspondent Jackie Heinrich spoke with Lindy Lee, who serves on the DNC National Finance Committee and is a Harris surrogate, earlier this morning as the results were still coming in. She said Democrats were already playing the blame game. Watch this.
My phone is blowing up with recriminations and people just freaking out. This is not the outcome that we expected at all. We weren't expecting a blowout at all. We were hoping that we could hold on to those critical blue wall states, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, certainly, but all of that is slipping away. The blame game has started. One of the things that are top of mind is the choice of Tim Walz as the vice presidential candidate. A lot of people are saying tonight that it should have been Josh Shapiro. Frankly, people have been saying that for months. I hate to say this, but I'm not sure how much Tim Walz contributed to the ticket.
Julian, your reaction. It's projected that Democrats lost the presidency, the Senate flipped, and it looks like the GOP could keep control of the House. This is looking more and more like a sweep. Your reaction?
Well, good morning, Maria, and thanks for having me on. Yes, I think we're in landslide territory right now. And, you know, you and I have been talking about this for a long time now. I've been on record about this for the last 2 years. The Democrats needed to do 2 things to win this election. One is they needed a strong, competent candidate that could make the case and answer questions, including in unscripted environments, the way, say, a Bill Clinton could or a Barack Obama could. Kamala Harris was not that person. Joe Biden was not that person. The Democratic leadership knew about that, and they tried to paper that over, and today they pay the price for that. The second thing the Democrats needed to do, as you and I have discussed many times, is they needed a sister soldier moment, not just on one issue, but just on about everything. The Democratic record and the Democratic policies are deeply unpopular, not just on 25% governments of the economy being government spending now, but immigration, crime, extremism on the Green New Deal, go on down the line. And, I agree with your guest here. I think what we are seeing now is a massive realignment, not just a political realignment, but a cultural realignment, because I think voters are rejecting not just the Democratic Party and their policies and their lawfare tactics, but this is also, a big signal to the news media that was, in my opinion, I say this as a Democrat, incredibly biased. They became activists rather than journalists during this campaign. It is a signal to Wall Street and Silicon Valley, who was behind the Democrats, and it's a signal to Hollywood. It's a real signal that the working class of this country is saying to the professional elites, it's time to get out. We don't like this sort of condescending, virtue signaling, luxury beliefs that you guys impose on the rest of the country, and you never have to pay price for it. Immigration being the perfect example. So I think the Democrats really played this thing wrong for the exact reasons that you and I have been discussing now for about a year and a half.
Well, I mean, as well as just destructive policies. Destructive on the American people. I mean, when you consider the failure of the wide open border, having national security impact, personal security impact, economic impact, Julian, do you think that they understand how destructive that was to have such weak vetting at the open border?
I think it was very destructive in terms of our national security, and it was also because of the economy. You know, there's so much data out there that shows that immigration is wage theft. And when I talk about luxury beliefs, you know, immigration is very good for the elites because they can build cheaper houses and have people clean those houses. But it robs middle-class people not just of jobs, but of wages because it pushes wages down. This is the kind of thing that I think a lot of middle-class voters really object to. Yeah. So, you know, one of the big differences between the Democrats and the Republicans is the Democrats really believed that they could buy votes by expanding the welfare state. You know, new entitlements on housing, new entitlements, you know, forgive student loans, new entitlements for small businesses. Just keep piling on the public debt. And working class voters don't like that. They find that very patronizing. What they want to see is expanding the economy and protecting jobs. And whether you agree with tariffs or not, working class voters really believe that Donald Trump was trying to protect jobs rather than to give government handouts. And that resonated in a way that's much, much more significant than I think Democrats recognize. And it pains me to say this as a Democrat, but it's true. Yeah,
and Chris, I think people came out and basically said, I want the opportunities. I'm not interested in a handout of up to $20,000 if I'm a black male. I'd rather have an opportunity to make money and climb that ladder myself. Your reaction?
Yeah, it's I got to say, it doesn't happen very often. I agree with everything that Julian, as a Democrat consultant, had to say. It's remarkable how condescending the Democratic campaign was to working class voters and offering handouts in exchange for votes. And what's really remarkable about that, Maria, from a political strategy standpoint, is in the end, it looks like Trump will win first-time voters pretty strongly. And I give a lot of credit to the campaign for that. They turned them out. But it's not just white first-time voters, it's African-American first-time voters and Hispanic first-time voters. And they're going to win counties in South Texas that have never been won before by a Republican.
Really incredible. A great conversation, gentlemen. We so appreciate your time. Chris Wilson, Julian Epstein, thank you so much, gentlemen. We'll take a short break and come right back. Stay with us.